Alright guys, we're working on the Yz85 again. I ended up doing the water pump rebuild off camera, as well as the new clutch cover gasket and stuff like that. So I put new seals in the water pump and a new bearing where the impeller shaft goes in. So hopefully no more coolant leaks. I filled it up with coolant and it's been good so far. I put fresh fluid in the transmission clutch area. It takes about a half quart of oil. I put some 1040 motorcycle oil for wet clutch systems. Right now, I'm actually going to be taking the subframe off and pulling the carb off, making sure that the correct jetting is in there because it has a pipe on it. I'm kind of questioning if the main jet is big enough for the pipe because usually you want to go up like 1 or 2 sizes when you put a full exhaust system on a bike like this. So we're just going to kind of double check the stock jetting versus what it's in it and see if it matches up and what I should do about it. So I'm going to start the camera up when we start unbolting the subframe. Alright guys, I think I got the right size socket. I'm pretty sure it's just a 12 up here. Looks like that is the case. I think it's a through bolt all the way through, possibly. Thinking that's what it is. So I'll loosen this up. It's easy to work on the carburetors, guys, if you take the subframes off. Just gives you a lot more area to work with. Just overall an easier way of doing the job. So there's a long bolt there, and I believe these are 6mm down here. I got to loosen these up. And I'm not sure if we have to take that aluminum plate off the bottom. That may be a possibility at this point, I'm not sure. I also got to loosen the air boot clamp on the carburetor. We haven't done that yet. So there's one of those 6mm Allens. It looks like the subframe already dropped a little bit, so that's good. So we got those 2 out. That done. And now we got to basically just loosen the clamp right in there. I think it's a Phillips head clamp, so I'll grab that here. That way you don't have to worry about like trying to stretch that air boot so much because that's kind of a pain when you try to do that. Looks like the air box is kind of not secure, maybe. Not sure if the person forgot to put bolts in, but I'm thinking the air box is supposed to be connected a little bit better than that. But anyways, that's kind of how she goes. This kind of sits in your back tire like a little mud flap. And it's pretty simple. So now your bike looks like that. Very simple kind of removal. Subframe is always good to get out of the way. But now I can basically loosen up the other clamp here. And that freaking bird in the background. Let's loosen that clamp up a little bit. I'll tell you that clamp is kind of a... Oh. Not sure if that... Now we can take our carb off. Pay attention to how our cable is routed right now. And there's an overflow and a few other hoses that are all kind of tucked in this thing down in here. So my throttle cable, to get this off, we got to basically take these 2 Phillips screws out the top and we'll let the slide hang. But basically, back in there is where those overflow hoses were. So that's kind of where that was. But I'm going to take the 2 screws at the top of the slide and we can take the carburetor off. So there we go, guys. We got the carburetor removed. The slide I just left hang there. And the throttle cable is routed how it was, so we're just going to leave it. I'm going to go behind and kind of inspect the reeds. See if I could put the camera in here. Maybe you guys can see. But I'll get a light shine in there just to see if I see anything scary. Looks... The carburetor right here, I was cleaning it out a little bit. I just took compressed air, basically, and blew through all the jet passageways and the air bleeds, and just kind of made sure the jetting was what it was. I looked on FMF's website for their pipe, and it had stock jetting, so that's what I'm going to go with. Should be okay. I'm going to mix 32:1 just to be safe. Good premium gas. I'm going to go ahead. I'll put the carburetor back together, put the carb back on the bike, and I'll show you guys the finished product when I get it back together. So off camera, last thing you guys saw, I think, on camera was me cleaning the carburetor. I got that all put back on. I put some bolts in the airbox. I put some springs in the exhaust header, bolted the header on, put the silencer on, put coolant in it, mixed up fresh gas, 32:1, mix ratio. Just kind of tidied it up and put it all back together, and I just got to put a spark plug in it. I got a BR10 EIX. I'll show you guys if it'll focus on it. There we go. BR10 EIX, which is a iridium plug. And in the manual, or at least in my NGK book for a YZ85, it's either a BR10 EG or a BR10 EIX. So I put the EIX in it, and I'm going to do that right now, and I will let you guys know when it's ready to fire up. Alrighty guys, I got the new spark plug in. It is time to fire this thing up for the first time after the water pump seals and the top end rebuild. I've never heard this thing run before, so I don't know what it's supposed to sound like, and the last person before me said it didn't run very good. So I'm kind of skeptical about this air boot. They replaced the air boot before I started working on it, and I'm not sure if what they used as a gasket or if they put a gasket on the back or what. So if it runs kind of strange, like an air leak, I'm going to suspect that intake boot, and I might have to pull it off and reseal it with some Yamabond. But we're going to just try to start it up now. I'm going to choke it, and we'll see what happens. So I'll leave the camera on right about there for you. Maybe I'll pull it off the basket just for now. Bring it over here. Holy crap. That suspension is soft. Old choke. Looks like everything's connected. Like it's like really rich or something, but yeah, it bogs like crazy. Like, I mean, that thing really bogs. You guys heard it's like bah, 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 bah. So that's kind of strange. Okay, so I ran it for a little bit longer, guys, and I adjusted the pilot air screw. I turned it out another turn because I figured it was really rich, and it helped a little bit in the low end, but I'm thinking it's got to be somewhere in the mid-range. Maybe the needle is too low, or obviously the clip position is too low, the needle's a little bit too high. So maybe I'll, I think I remember on FMF's website, number 2 clip position, so I might go to that. I'll see where it's at right now, and maybe drop the needle down a little bit further. Maybe it's definitely sounds rich. Doesn't want to rev up, which makes me think it's rich. If it was lean, it would still rev up. It would just be, I'd have a power cut, like a loss of power, but it would come back if it was lean. So that's why I'm hinting at the rich side. I'll take a look at the plug too once it cools down. The iridium plug is hard to read, but maybe if it's really, really rich, it should show me that on the plug. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to take the carb. I'll have to take the carb loose, it looks like, unless I can get a stubby screwdriver to take the 2 screws off the top of the slide, and then we'll check it out and see what clip positions it's at. Because my guess, it's either got bad reeds. Bad reeds will make it act rich like that. If the reed pedals are worn out and they're not kind of closing all the way and stuff like that, they're not doing their proper operation, bad reeds can cause this rich effect like it is now. It kind of doesn't want to rev up, and sounds like, almost sounds like there's water inside the pipe. And I don't think that's the case. I don't see any signs of coolant leaking. I don't think. And if there was coolant on top of the piston, if it was leaking in the crankcase or whatever, Obviously, it'd be hydrolocked, so that's not a problem there. I don't think coolant got in the engine or anything like that. So I'm going to hint at the carburation issue. I'm not sure if that's the stock can. I think it's one of those knockoff PWK carburetors, unless that is what's supposed to be on it. Maybe you guys know more than I do, but I'm thinking that's some of those knockoff carbs. So what we're going to do is just try to jet the mid-range, and we'll try to fine-tune the pilot. A little bit more air, possibly. So that is that. I'm going to try to get that off, and I'll show you guys when we get that off. I took the YZ back apart. You guys saw it was running. If you guys didn't see that clip before, make sure you guys go rewatch it, because it was running like terrible. And I thought it was running rich at first. But it turns out, guys, the exhaust was plugged. The whole header had a huge mouse nest in it. I'll show you guys. Down there is half of what came out of it. So it was plugged pretty bad. So I figured that out, got it all cleaned out, and then I'll start it. It runs really good now, just how it's supposed to run. So I'll fire it up, and I'm going to do some brake-in on it. Just alternating RPM, trying to get the rings to seat a little bit, and then I'll take it for a rip. And you guys will see that in another video, but I'll get some running clips of it right now. Coolant stayed up. Everything seems to be fine. We'll see if it'll start. Go from there. You never want to let them idle, guys. Always give them some RPM like that. It's not going to hurt it. There's no load on it. Just don't over rev it, obviously. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And in the next video, you guys will see some riding clips, and we'll see how she rips. So yeah, always check the exhaust after they sit for a while. That was a pretty good catch, I think. She runs real good. So until the next video, make sure you guys subscribe, leave a like down below, comment as well, and we'll see you in the next video.